You said I would like Brighton. Well, I do not.
Does this look like Brighton?
I do not know.
It's not even home.
They used to get free orange juice at University Challenge, which is why they're so blitzed out and rocky. And they don't get free orange juice anymore because somebody decided that once you pierce a carton of orange juice with a straw, there is then a hole out of which liquid could escape, which would of course destroy the studio. So they are now only allowed bottles of water with screw caps. But when they did have the free orange juice, I used to go, oh yes, you get free orange juice. I just said this once and got into trouble, so you get free orange juice. They don't get that on Jeremy Kyle, hence the scurvy. And that's not the sort of thing an employee of the BBC is allowed to say. It was controversial. It's a good job the Daily Mail wrote it. I'm sorry if you read the Daily Mail. I'm just sorry if you read the Daily Mail. Is it possible to read the Daily Mail? It's just like somebody's been sick into your open hands. The average Daily Mail headline seems to be, somebody who's different to you had a nice day yesterday. Be angry about this! I might do it because I'm in good company. There's a joke I dropped years ago because nobody ever laughed at it, but I used to say the reason people buy the Daily Mail isn't for the news stories, it's for the crossword, because when they solve the penultimate clue, it means they're one step closer to the final solution. But, you see, you're good. You're good. Do that Frog and Bucket Manchester on a Friday night, nothing. This is why I'm here today. So it's very nice to be asked to be part of the 50th. It was part of the 50th celebration at the Excel, which was lovely. Can we cheer if you were at that? Yeah. It was good fun, wasn't it? So it's nice to be really nice to do this today, isn't it exciting? And hopefully we'll be watching Unearthly Child later, and hopefully, unlike when I was watching the 50th anniversary story, there won't be an annoying man in the corner of the pub guffawing. But that's just a personal demon I have to exercise. I get very cross when people pronounce my surname wrong. Those of you that have seen it written down, it's Toby Hadoke, it's Hadoke. Everybody gets it wrong. I'm sure most of you pronounce it Hadoke. I used to joke that my forebears were fisherfolk who got ideas above their station. And then we researched our family tree and discovered that they were. Honestly, in the mid-18th century, Mr. Hadoke married a social climbing lady, and on the wedding day, the name dropped a D, dropped a C, added an E, and created a word that nobody can pronounce or spell.
Would you try to attract my attention? That was a very good performance. It seems so sincere. Oh, yes, thank you. Toby.
How are you today, Tom?
I'm good. A bit doddery, but good. I'm jolly, you know? Jolly. Near where I live, there's a graveyard. And when I'm particularly creaky, I go into the graveyard, and curious enough, the pain doesn't vanish. But I think, well, at least I've got the edge on this lot. Because, we have to take our consolations when we can. We really do. And so graveyards. I was always a bit drawn to graveyards. It's true, it's because of my religious background. I couldn't wait to die. When I was young, I mean. And now that I'm old, I don't want to die at all. And so life changes. Yes, I used to long to die when I was young and go to heaven, and now this is my idea of heaven. How things fare.
Does the faith you had when you almost worked for God, does that ever threaten to return to you?
No, it doesn't. No, I've given him his chance, you know, there's a limit, isn't there, to how much silence and elusiveness you can put up with. You know? I mean, in my past, if someone hasn't called me for say 17 years, I get the impression. I don't jump to the impression, but it creeps up on me that maybe they don't care about me very much, you know, or perhaps they've even forgotten me. And so I needed a hint, you know. Not God himself, of course, I wouldn't expect that, but I mean, he could have sent down one of those angels, couldn't he? I mean, someone. I mean, he's got millions of them out there, because someone could have come down. With wings, yeah, with wings. This must be amazing. Eh? I think about when the Annunciation happened, whatever that was, when that little Jewish virgin was, you know, pottering about and taking her makeup off. And suddenly there was a kind of fluttering, and she looked round, and there was a 6-foot blonde there, all silver, and fabulous hair, and looking a bit like George Clooney. And he had wings. That's what I was thinking. Flummoxed her. That's an old word. And he said, maybe it's not so funny. He said, "Fear not, Mary." And she said, I suppose, "Fear not. How did this? I'm a respectable little virgin. I'm engaged to a carpenter down the road. And how did you get in here anyway?" And so all that sort of stuff was all that kind of belief in religion that I had prepared me. I didn't know, of course, we don't know what fate holds. It prepared me for the great experience of my life, which was to play Doctor Who, where everything is a kind of blind faith. There's no physics in Doctor Who. That's a thrilling thing. There's no nod towards physics. We just actually go through time and space in a split second, fast or slow, or however the plot tells us to do. And so all this thing about Jesus walking on water, and then especially I also fancy that one of turning water into wine. Ooh, apparently he was very popular. I mean, at parties, and then walking on the water, and then that big thing of feeding 5,000 people with 3 fishes and 2 loaves. 2 loaves and 3 fishes for 5,000 people. He not only did that, which impressed me a lot at the time, still does, is that there were 12 baskets full of afters to be picked up. 12 baskets, and I'm not talking about, you know, little baskets. You know, 2,000 years ago, I happen to know this because I've been watching Channel 4. Some of those baskets were 6 feet high, packed with fragments of cod. And, would you ask me a question, please?
You were doing the equivalent of turning water into wine, right? I think I said hello and you turned it into presents. So how did you contain Tom Baker when you were playing the bear in Winter's Tale, or playing those smaller parts in Shakespeare, and being a sort of lowlier member of the company?
Well, the thing is, I had no power then, and I was glad to be. The National Theatre, you see, was very quirky, and every now and then they think we've got to get some people, you know, in who are disadvantaged. And so Donald McKechnie said, "Well, I've been to York Rep, actually. There's an actor up there called Tom Baker, and I think he might benefit for some therapy down here." And he saw me playing a dog in a show with a broadcaster called Laurie Taylor, and this was in York. And Laurie was asking questions of the dog, and I had to bark. 3 barks meant yes, and 2 barks meant no, and so on. But he feigned giving me terrible blows to the ribs, you see, and people don't like that, and I was apparently a fantastic dog. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it was a lurcher, of course, but, and so I was acting so wonderful with these cloth things like that, that suddenly one night there was a demonstration, and people attacked Laurie Taylor for abusing the dog. And it just so happened that Donald McKechnie was in the audience. They are always, you know, on the tab looking for other actors. And so he sent me down to meet Laurence Olivier. And Olivier, you know, he didn't understand me. Of course he didn't understand me. I don't understand me. Nobody understands me, and I'm not all that well. And so I could see him looking at his advisors, and he shrugged. And because he was late, and he was very kind, really. And because he was late, he said, well, look, why don't you come along anyway? So it was a bit of a grudging start. And then his wife was directing a play, The Traverse of Sancho Panza, and they came to me and said, Tom, we want you in Traverse of Sancho Panza. And I thought they meant me to play Don Quixote, and I thought, Christ, I was born to play that old fool, that romantic old fool. They said, oh, no, we want you to play the horse. And so I was playing, but it wasn't any a horse, it was a mare, actually. Rosinante, yeah, clapped out old mare. And so I was playing with a funny little truck and caparas, and it was very good. But because Laurence Olivier liked freaky things, unusual things, he wasn't good at naturalism. He was great at supermen and funny voices and things like that. And because his wife was directing it, he used to come in and watch the rehearsals. You know, he absolutely adored his wife. It's called uxoriousness. He worshipped his wife. This is quite a rare condition. And so he was quite taken by my playing this horse, you know, and tossing my head and things like that, you know. And so gradually, because he was nice and because his wife was kind and I was making them laugh, they had lots of parties there. He had a wonderful place provided by the National Theatre. And so they used to ask me to these parties, you know. So I used to go to more parties than anyone else, because the other fellows had a real life to lead, you know, and I didn't. Real life didn't grab me very much, because I was confused and not always happy. But parties and playing horses and dogs, that was right up my street. So all this madness, a very meandering way to get to the point that all this idea of wonderment and accepting things and wanting to do that prepared me for this wonderful part of the Doctor at which no one has ever failed. And so when Barry Letts said to me, what are you going to do with it? I'd signed a contract by then, so I said, I don't know, and he was horrified. But it didn't matter, because anyway, the first year or so, I was still getting scripts that were written for John Pertwee. And I had to wrench them my way, because, you know, John's style was kind of glittering and sarcastic and putting people down and, you know, all frills and all that kind of thing. But that wasn't my sort of idea at all. But people began to laugh at the way I was doing things. But I mean, even people have sometimes laughed at me at Oxford Circus Station before I was well done. Suddenly burst out laughing. Made me very self-conscious. And gradually, that's how I developed this walk.
You say nobody's failed at the role, but I think it's fair to say nobody's quite succeeded like you did. I mean, if anyone was born to play the Doctor, I would say it was you. And did you? But something that strikes me, you were working on a building site when you were cast, and you were very deferential when you talk about Barry Letts and Bill Slater and Philip Hinchcliffe in those early years. But as time went on, you got quite proprietorial about the role, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and that produced tensions, of course, because, you know, I began to feel that I knew better than the writers. This is a fatal state of mind, and it produces tension, because without the writers we're nowhere.